Ooh, a huge one. Let's take a close look at it. Package from China time. Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. So in this video, we're going to take a close look at the new system called the XU10. This is a handheld that came out of nothing, and this is more of the new generation of cheap devices. And I can tell you, it's going to be a very interesting overview, because we do have a lot of cool stuff that we can actually play. Just a quick overview of the device. It comes with a 3.5-inch IPS full view angle, zero distance. I love these texts, by the way. But nevertheless, it has a 640 by 480 resolution. This is the new thing. They're basically advertising these things. It comes also with the Rockchip 3326S, quad-core 64-bit Cortex A35 clocked on 1.6 GHz. And it has 1 GB of DDR4. And it has the option to get all the way up to 512 GB of storage capacity when it comes to an SD card, and 3000 mAh battery that has around 6 to 8 hours of game time. It's absolutely a great time that we're living in, because we're having so many cool devices coming out now, and this particular one I was really intrigued by because of the specifications and the price you're paying for it. The first impression that it doesn't have very nice weight to it, and I'm guessing this is due of the battery that is in the inside. So the configuration is different of all the other ones. Think about the R35S or the R36S, but it does have some similarities. So let's do a quick overview, but before we're going to do that, let's do a quick look inside of the box. What are we going to just actually having for accessories? First of all, it comes with a decent normal Type-C connection cable. Of course, the deluxe mini toilet paper. Yep, that is something new, but a quick explanation how you need to navigate through the menu. For example, what the G button is for, and call out PSP emulator, or nevertheless what you can do when it comes to the Sega Saturn, it seems to be, and some other key features. So read through it, because there is some information on it you should just check out. It comes with some cleaning wipes and even a screen protector. That is something that is not common, to be honest. Some of the devices already had been implemented, but I wish it just like slapped it on there. But pretty damn cool. I'm not going to do this because I'm always messing these things up, and maybe I'll do it later on. Maybe I can make a separate video about it. But yeah. Yeah, when I ordered it, I made one mistake ordering the white color. Oh, by the way, and there's nothing wrong with white color, but the thing is, I wanted to have the purple, because they have this gray color, white, and the purple version. And the purple version looks really cool. Gives me some GameCube vibes, but yeah, it's a personal thing. Take consideration that you do have some pretty damn awesome colors. So the display is 64/480, and yeah, this is absolutely great for certain kind of games. Where most of the devices, when it comes to the form factor, are not really comfortable, this is in my opinion the right size. Also, the form factor is completely different than the previous models we've reviewed here. I mean, when looking at the bottom part, here we can even see that there are different like round shapes going on, and it will give you an extra thing when it comes to like being more comfortable than the previous models I've reviewed here on the channel. That also includes when it comes to minor details. First of all, when you're looking at the back over here, we find this very nice edge, but it is very interesting because you can just leave your hands underneath and we're having like a more comfortable situation going on. But when it comes to the aesthetic parts, also here we can find all kinds of new things. For example, we're having these tiny edges over here. It doesn't have any function so far I know, but it looks kind of cool, to be honest. Then at the front we're going to give a very strange looking D-pad, but I must say that I'm very pleased with this. So first of all, when you're looking at the way how it looks, it does have a very nice angle, and if you just want to, like say, move around, it's very comfortable. And I'm very surprised. I think it's similar to the PlayStation 4 controllers back in the day. But also the touch itself, it has a very nice, let's say, overall resistance and a very nice feedback. But how is it with fighting games? Sometimes we do have like a mix of performance when it comes to shooters or fighting games, but also with the fighting games we have an amazing overall performance. The D-pad is absolutely very pleasant to play. And if you're going to check out how it is with the D-pad in combination with the back buttons, it's absolutely amazing. Next up, let's take a close look at some D-pad action when it comes to games like Contra. And I can tell you to my surprise, besides that it feels quite nice, this is absolutely amazing D-pad for games like these. And I must say that I'm very pleasant surprised by it. Not only the feel, but also the overall performance is not bad at all. At the bottom we're going to have two joysticks, and they're similar to the Nintendo Switch. And yep, they have also the click underneath. But how about the ABXY button? Because here we do have some differences when it comes to different devices. So first of all, it does got let's say, a very nice, let's say, short travel, but a nice click underneath. But if you want to use them, they are very comfortable, and this is due of the, let's say, distance between them, but also the way how it looks when it comes to the top part. Because if you're having more of the Nintendo Switch buttons, they are pretty damn awful, but this feels just very nice if you just want to play your games. With this XU10 we do have select and start in the middle, and it's absolutely in great position. It does have a very nice touch to it, with some of the devices that I've reviewed before having micro switches underneath, where I'm personally not a big fan of. Last but not least, we're having the tiny speaker in the middle. It's front facing, so it will sound absolutely great, but I wish they went for a dual configuration, because that will give you, in my opinion, a better overall stereo experience when it comes to the audio. But first, let's remove the screen protector. The overall quality of the display is absolutely looking great, and in combination with the very thin bezel and no logos, this is looking pretty damn nice in my opinion. But what can we find at the back? And of course there are the back buttons and the on-off switch and the reset. It's quite an interesting configuration. They're always on top or at the side, and now we're having one at the back. A very interesting and very smart choice. So here we can just hold it for a couple seconds for booting it up. Okay, one other thing that I find quite interesting are the back buttons. So when you're looking at them, they are slightly different. Here you can see, especially from the side, there is difference in the height. And this is absolutely great. Oh, the device starts up. Because when you're basically holding it, you can click it in fairly easy, and you don't have the struggle I have with different devices. Another thing is that when it comes to the touch, you need to put some pressure in, but not to the point that it's really annoying. This micro switch underneath with the same configuration as the other handhelds with the same chipset, but I must say this is one of my favorite ones when it comes to the back buttons. So at the left side we're finding the jack out. Here we're having the G button, and the G button basically pressing in game, it will give you the special menu for doing quick loads, quick save. Then the LED is at the right in a very nice position, and here we're finding the first SD card. And I must say the first SD card, yeah, they are using really cheap brands or non-brands at all. Be careful, make a backup, these things can get corrupted out of nothing. At the left we're finding another option for an SD card, all the way up to 512 GB. You can add another storage capacity, volume control, and at the top we're finding two connections, USB-C. And USB-C is one an OTG port and one for charging. And the OTG port can be used for different functions. But then of course we're having the specifications list that is similar to all the other devices we've reviewed. Think about the R35S or the R36S. It's a chipset they're basically using a lot on these budget devices, but does have a great overall performance with its Mali G31 and its Rockchip 3326S. It runs basically on 1.6 GHz of speed, comes with a beautiful 3.5 inch display with a resolution of 640 by 480. So where back in the day we had a lot of devices that needed tinkering and like a lot of medicine around and some knowledge about emulation. Now we do have these very cool Pandora's box looking devices that we can just scroll through the games, and it's just super easy to use. Here at the right we can even see we're having making the favorite list, so pressing the Y button, or if you want to search a certain game you can just press X, and here we can search a game. Super easy. And I think it's one of those key features that makes it absolutely great. GG button, already mentioned before, here at the side. If you're going to press this, here we're getting into the menu. You're having the options for the emulator. Here you can choose the emulators and mess around with all kinds of stuff in combination with, let's say, aspect ratio, bilinear filtering. It's absolutely crazy what you can all do, and it's a lot of fun to mess around with. If you even want to change out the button configuration, the UI settings, everything can be changed out fairly easy here. I would not mess around with it if everything works, of course, but what can we actually play? Because when it comes to this, it's absolutely crazy. But let's talk about the quick load and quick save function, and in my opinion it works pretty damn great for most platforms. When choosing a certain games, here you can see I already have myself a quick load or a quick save, or we can make a quick load. So pressing this particular screenshot, it will automatically load up into the game where it has been playing. But if you want to make a new one, you can just click the G button here at the side. Here we're having different slots that we can choose from. So let's say I'm having slot 2 want to have now. Make a quick save, and that's it. But if you're continuing, you can just play from that point on. But if you're going to be rebooting the game again, Here we're going to have multiple save slots, and what I find very interesting but also very pleasant, if you're going to choose the game, it will give you all of the options that you made a screenshot. Well, you can see that we're having 2 of them at the moment. There's the one that was flying in the air, you can choose it again, and from this point on we can just go further with the game. And especially when you're thinking like, hey, what part did I left it? You can just see it, and that's something that I find very pleasant. Then next up we're having Dreamcast, Naomi, Sega, Saturn. That's one of those editions you don't see very often. Then having Mega Drive, MAME, Capcom Systems, and they have all kinds of MAMEs too on there. Neo Geo. This is basically the arcade list, what I mentioned before, with all kinds of games where we're going to test out one of them. Amstrad, Atari, Lynx, and what I think is pretty damn cool that we're finding all kinds, let's say, of handhelds that you don't see on most of the devices. So the library of it is absolutely huge, in combination with the Neo Geo Pocket, one of my, let's say, favorite system to play. Neo Geo Pocket Color with Sonic is absolutely a great game, and revisiting them on this device would be cool. Controller tester is on the tools, so let's get into that. And in here we can check out all of the functions of the joysticks and all of the buttons. So if you have any problems, you can just check it over here. Pressing select to start will bring you back to the menu that also works for the games itself. And with the favorite list over here, we can find every single game that we have put in this particular list. So when it comes to the overall, let's say the way how this actually works, it's pretty great. Before we go into test out, let's see how good it actually works with the search function. I already mentioned that it's on here, but let's check if we're going to look into the list. It will always search through the full system over here, and that is a little bit of an annoying thing in my opinion. Okay, so moving all the way to the left, we can go to the huge list, but it seems to be the search function seems to be working just right. Here we're having Sonic Adventure, Sonic Advance. Let's start off with some Game Boy Advance. But with devices like this, you can just play Sonic and other games without any problem. You can use the analog stick. I do notice the form factor of this device is very comfortable to play. No problem whatsoever with the audio, even though having one single speaker. They configured this perfectly. No audio delay that we have seen with cheaper devices back in the day. It works all perfect in my opinion. So one of the awesome systems we can actually play now on the go, and there are a zillion ways to play, but that looks absolutely amazing when it comes to the Game Boy Classic. Oh man, this is one of my favorite pinball games ever, man, on the Game Boy. The same goes with Tailgater, another cool game to play. You should check it out. But I never can get into the second stage. It's such a pain in the ass, come on. Oh. And there we go, here we go, here we go. Give it another try. Here we go. Oh, that happens all the freaking time. I suck at this game. But it seems to be they're using some weird filter. Oh yeah, nice. I got the second stage, finally. Okay, next up, let's make a quick save. Yeah, let's cheat, let's cheat. But how about Nintendo DS? That's a system I got a lot of requests from checking it out. So when you want to play this system, it's going to be a little bit more, let's say, of a problematic. First of all, the overall emulation performance, I hear that there was some stuttering going on. But besides that, we can switch between the two displays by pressing the shoulder buttons. But if you don't want to have this, you can press the right joystick. Over here we're going to have the 2 screens configuration that you can put horizontal and vertical mode. And even can switching if you want to. So this is the original mode, or actually how the original games are tended to play. We can use the left joystick for the stylus. Personally I don't like this at all, but if you're having a game that you mainly use one screen, you can just actually play these games without any problem. But still, for me, it's going to be the weirdest Crash Bandicoot game ever. Since when does he push, kicks and pushes? It's so weird, absolutely. But I can just hear that it like completely like drops down in the frames. Pressing the G button will actually like pull you out of the game. Well, let's get into some older stuff with the NES. I was searching my game Spartan X, but I could not really find it, so we're choosing the second one, or the second game of the series. A game I personally never experienced as a child, but it seems to be that it's going to be having the similar annoying characters. Oh crap, we do have terrible buttons. Oh yeah, let's road kick everything, Roadhouse. Let's move on to the 16-bit era with some Super NES and Desert Strike. But also, this looks absolutely amazing. No weird things going on. One of the things I've noticed with this D-pad, it plays perfectly. So where we can start tinkering with the N64 emulator, we're not going to get better overall results. So one of the games I love to play is Blast Corps and many others like GoldenEye, the games I grew up with. But when it comes to the N64 part, it's not running that great in my opinion. And that is just a general problem with these cheaper devices. In my opinion, they should add a couple of them that run decent enough to enjoy, or just like skip all of the N64 games. Because let's be honest, this is just unplayable if you're going to be starting the game and it just stutters like crazy. Let's get into the gameplay and I will show you what you're having with a cheap device like this. Some parts are playable, but I can tell you when it's going to be very crowded and a lot of stuff going on, it's going to be sounding absolutely horrible and having a really bad overall experience when it comes to the frames per second. And this is the same, especially with the more demanding games, including GoldenEye and all the other ones. But let's move on into the PlayStation part. And the major problem I'm always facing with these things, that we don't have a freaking background audio. They're leaving them out to save some, let's say storage capacity. But a little bit bummer, because now it's absolutely like a soulless game in my opinion. Because the music of Ridge Racer was so freaking epic. But when it comes also to display resolution and this particular games or the PlayStation system, it's absolutely everything but game over. Because this is freaking awesome. Alright, so next up, let's try some PlayStation Portable. And for the people who watch a lot of these videos, you know this is not going to be working like it should be. And that's why we're going to see a lot of these cheaper devices. We have some two-dimensional games that run just fine. Give an example, let's load up the save point that we had. And oh boy, it's going to be looking really bad. Look at this. It's absolutely like horrendous. Every setting has been set to like low or whatsoever. And this is absolutely not the way how you actually want to enjoy some PlayStation Portable with some God of War. Besides also having not the right resolution of display, because we're having two black bars on bottom and top. You can see also weird things going on, and this is absolutely not the way how you want to play it. They basically like squeezed everything out of the chipset in combination with the SSPP emulator. It's quite fascinating to see it actually running at a decent frame rate, but this is not the way how you want to play. One of the games I love to also to play, besides Sonic, is the Metal Slug, the Neo Geo Pocket versions. And this is so much fun and absolutely a blast to the past. And they look absolutely amazing on this device. Absolutely funny. There we go. When it comes to MAME, there's actually so much that we can play, but take consideration that Killer Instinct games or the Tekken MAME will not run on this device. It's just not powerful enough. But beside that, it doesn't spoil the fun, because there's actually so much more that we can play. And when actually I'm playing now the MAME game or beat 'em up, navigating through the stage, I can just realize how good this D-pad actually is. I cannot stop talking about it because it's that great. Nevertheless, it's a lot of fun. Not that fun to get my ass whooped by some guys on the street, but there's a lot of cool games that you can actually play on this device. That guy is really annoying. Come on. There we go. But let's deep dive into one of my all favorite systems, that is the Sega. It's a Sega Mega Drive or Genesis known by the US people. But also this runs perfectly. Sonic 1, 2, 3, 3 and Knuckles, it doesn't matter what you slap on this, it runs perfectly. And of course it looks beautiful on display. One of the things I really want to check out later on is a comparison with all kinds of different handhelds, because there are so many different ways to play nowadays. It's not a personal record. I think my fastest time was 29 seconds. But let's move into the Sega Saturn, a platform you don't see often with cheap devices. And I can tell you there's a reason for that, because they are not running that great with Sega Saturn. And let's take a closer look in the Sonic R, and you can just hear and see that it runs absolutely garbage. Wow. It's so slow that the audio is faster than actually the visual part. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, and maybe with some two-dimensional games we can have some okay overall performance, but you know, this is a system they just need to remove in my opinion, because it's just not the way how we actually want to experience these old school Sega Saturn games. You need to get yourself a more powerful Pow Kitty or an Embernick, because this is absolutely garbage. Another system that is interesting to check is the Atomic Wave. Of course with the all famous Dolphin Blue, and the main reason is because this game is quite difficult to emulate. We do get some okay overall performance, but you can just hear and see that this thing suffers. It doesn't run on the full speed. It's fascinating to see that we're having cheap devices that can actually run this at all. But again, the same like with the Sega Saturn, in my opinion, if it doesn't run 100%, you just need to leave it off. And you can just hear it, how it freaking struggles all of the freaking time. And of course, maybe with some two-dimensional fighting games, you do get better performance, but that's it. Pressing the G button will bring you back automatically to the main menu again. There is no quick load and quick save. But what is interesting with this particular chipset, that we do have the option to play some Sega Dreamcast. Also here it's possible to get a mixed overall performance, but with Sonic Adventure we do have an absolutely great overall performance. I can really enjoy this old school game. In combination with the resolution of the display, this game is in my opinion the way how we should play it. Another system that is absolutely great to have on a device like this on the go is the PC Engine. It's absolutely a device with a lot of hidden gems that can be enjoyed now on the go. PC Engine, I own myself on system with a lot of games and I really love it for what it is. But having this on the device for this price point is absolutely crazy in my opinion. And yep, we have seen it before back in the day, but it is something they completely skip nowadays. Mostly they focus on the main platforms and they don't think people are interested in this. Nevertheless, it's going to be a lot of cool things. Haja! Let's do a Kamehameha. Hoba! And I missed out 2 times. Let's do a quick revisiting on one of the games I've played so much as a child, and it is Sonic Chaos. It's such a cool game. And in combination with this certain display and the resolution, it looks stunning. Absolutely great to revisiting this. So it's a lot of fun, I can tell you that. And it works perfectly without any problem. When it comes to, let's say, disassembly of the handhelds, if you need to do some maintenance or, let's say, a battery replacement situation, it is always different with every single handheld. So first of all, there's a combination of having 4 different tiny M-bus screws, where normally we're having the Phillips screwdriver needed. So this is what you're going to be seeing in the inside. So the battery can be unplugged, but the situation is kind of interesting. It's also kind of strange and different when you're looking at the previous models. Just going to leave the battery in here. So, but there's quite a lot of room and they absolutely used all of it for slapping in the battery. If it can be a bigger battery, I don't think so. There is some space around it, but I think it's going to be very different and very quite difficult to get a better or bigger one in here. It still gives you quite a long, let's say, time when it comes to playing games. Oh man, everything comes loose when you're going to be doing teardowns. And underneath we do have some minor differences and upgrades. So when it comes to the overall, let's say, the way how they created this, there's one huge PCB. So first of all, we can replace the LCD if you need to, because there's ribbon cable like normal devices, micro switches underneath, and they feel similar to all the other ones. And there is no membrane, so, but still, I really love the click of it. They're using a tiny copper piece of metal up on the chip itself, so that is even better. Most of the devices don't have any cooling whatsoever, and here we're going to get the RAM chips. And underneath, here we're having the joysticks. But let's remove this and let's see how this will look underneath, because this is a construction I personally never seen before when it comes in device. So they have just a separate piece of plastic. I'm guessing it's holding in certain parts on place. Need to be careful. There are basically 2 different screws, one with a flat head And removing this, here we can see ourselves the two joysticks. Quite interesting construction if you ask me, but you can replace them if you want to with ribbon cables so they're not straightly soldered into the PCB that we've seen with cheaper devices. I just wanted to give you a look after how it works when it comes to the LEDs at the left. So if you're going to remove the piece of plastic, you can actually see there are 3 separate tiny LEDs that will give you the indication how the battery life is. But if you need to do some maintenance, take consideration that you need to have a Phillips screwdriver, you need to have a nimbus, and we need to have a pry tool to open it up and be very gentle with this. So, and now, let's put it back together. That's the fun part. Where I review so many different handhelds nowadays, sometimes I feel quite annoyed by repeating myself because some of the cheaper devices have the same problems over and over again. The XU10 is absolutely a great example that you can actually find a hidden gem in all of these piles or invasions of overkill of devices from China. And this is absolutely one of those devices that I'm very happy to use and also review here on my channel because of the overall performance and actually the money you're paying for it. Of course, if you're going to have more power in the future, yeah, maybe we're going to have a bigger price tag. And that's the question, is that really worth it? In my opinion, they should remove everything that doesn't run and don't make promise things that they're not true. But beside that, I'm very positive about it. Thank you all for watching. Let me know in the comments what do you think of this device. And it will be great to see you in the next video.